I loved how you look. No, how we'd look, though you don't like books. I loved your scent. It was almost as though you were heaven sent. I loved how you'd cook ugali for us, since mine would always turn out worse. Sorry. I loved how you'd clear the table after a meal of obukima, amaranu, and your favorite vegetables, remember? Sweetie, you know I loved getting lost in your arms, the ones I had to share with many of your other girls. I loved our house, even though I owned nothing in it, since, you know, I'm as poor as a church mouse. I loved having someone to talk to, even though we really had nothing to talk about. I loved celebrating your achievements, even though you never noticed mine. I loved cleaning your mess, even though I wasn't yet your missus. Yours is a love I want not to remember. From January to December, it gives me a mood so somber. On the lapse of last so long, I sat caressed by empty promises of a great tomorrow, falling in love and hurting my knees so badly I couldn't pray for the player I got. So I'm looking for my head, must have dropped it when I fell in love with you. Like a headless chicken I bled, seeking for a love that was true, but finding one filled with woe instead. You showed me who you are, but I didn't believe you. You were always drenched in victims' blood, and I always volunteered to nurse your imaginary wounds until I saw your claws deeply entrenched in my soul, ripping me apart too. You rained insults on me that had the hail of blows and slaps and the lightning of infidelity thundering over my head. I am down to earth, but you always put me down with your derogatory remarks every time, maybe because of my stature and nature, saying that I'm immature. You called me a fool, just a little girl going to school. So you used me as a tool, which wasn't cool by the way, then dropped me like stool in a pool of misery. It was I that encouraged you to leave the house of your parents into one where you pay rent. To build you was what I meant, but disgust was apparent when you said to exploit you was my intent. And I'm losing my mind, hearing you call me a loose girl. You know, everyone looks at you as perfect, with no defect, character with no negative aspect, such that none could detect any reason to reject you. But let me ask you, would you marry you with all the habits that you got? Would you live with you for the rest of your life? Why then would I marry you? Why? With you, I was the most miserable, happy person on the planet. You called me your baby and meant it, for to you I was childish. So you cut me with your words, pierced me with your actions, and tortured me with your thoughts. Until I met one whose thoughts towards me are of good and not of evil. He knows my name and covers my shame and recklessness with his righteousness. I lift my eyes to the hills and help comes from him. His ear is not too dull to hear, nor his hand too short to save me. He never sleeps nor slumbers. He keeps me grounded and preserves my soul, my going out and my coming in forevermore. You know, as clay in the hands of the potter, so am I in his hands, broken and molded into a masterpiece in the master's likeness, perfect and upright, fearing God and eschewing evil. And when the time is right, he, the author of love, will allow me to experience true love. Until then, I pray that you will find your purpose. I am no longer yours, but God's very, very own.